Minnesota Senate Taxes Committee on Thursday, February 13th. We have a quorum. First item on the agenda is adoption of the minutes of February 12th, 2025. Are there any corrections to the minutes? There are none. The minutes are adopted. The first bill on our roster today is Senate File 542. Welcome to the committee, Senator Hauschild. Please introduce your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Tax Committee. Before you today, I have Senate File 542. This may seem familiar to you as we did bring this bill last year for your consideration. And just for your awareness, this did start out as a sales tax exemption for housing projects in St. Louis County. But knowing the fiscal impacts of what that would mean, providing that across the entire county in St. Louis County, I do have an amendment for us. I believe it's the A3, Mr. Chair, that would limit this to 2 specific projects, which is the same restricting we did during last year's bill.
Senator Hauschild offers the A3 as an author's amendment. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? A3 is adopted. To your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Northern Minnesota, much like the rest of the state and really the country, is experiencing severe shortages in housing. We're also a very rural county with our regional hub in Duluth. And we see across the board, whether it's in downtown Duluth or if it's in the community of places like Ely, that we continue to hear from residents that one of the top issues is the lack of available and affordable housing. And so this is a unique way for us to look at that issue and provide a sales tax exemption on construction materials for housing projects. Mr. Chair, I will note up front that one of these projects is a private development and the other is an HRA project in Ely. And so this is a little bit of a unique tactic that we're using to try to incentivize housing and make these things work. The site in Duluth is the old Central High School. And this is a project, or excuse me, a location that has been sought after for development for years since the high school closed. It's one of the most beautiful spots in Duluth with views of Lake Superior. And after years and years of trying to get this project started, we now have a committed developer for this project. And this is an opportunity for us to make this type of project work. Oftentimes what we find in northern Minnesota, given the distance and some of the restrictions on workforce and other challenges, we see higher costs to our housing construction compared to the suburbs and the Twin Cities area. So this is helping us get a critical development we need in Duluth. The new mayor, Roger Reinert, has a goal of getting us past 90,000 people in Duluth. As you may be aware, Duluth has been relatively stagnant over the years, and this is the opportunity for us to say we are going to take an active, proactive step to make sure that we are growing as a community and paying attention to our rural communities in Ely to make sure that we have housing across 2 different pilot programs in the region. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to answer questions. I also do have 2 awesome testifiers, County Commissioner Annie Harla from St. Louis County, who represents the Duluth area where this project is, and Jack Carlson, who's with the building trades in Duluth.
Senator Hauschild, before we go to your great testifiers who have come down in the cold from the Northland, I know Chair Rest wanted us, the committee, to hear what are the changes that have occurred in this bill. I think we heard it last year in committee and then it was in the conference committee. And are there differences today?
Sure, Mr. Chair. So I'll just kind of walk through this as quickly as I can here, and thanks for the question. So this amendment doesn't change the type of projects that would qualify for construction material tax exemptions, but it does narrow the eligibility as I talked about. So the original bill was all of St. Louis County. This would restrict it again to projects in Duluth at the Central High School spot and the city of Ely for their HRA project. Let's see, I just want to make sure that if there's any other additional information that's needed. Yeah, this is similar language to what we carried in the Senate tax omnibus last year, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Hauschild. Ms. Annie Harala, can you please introduce yourself for the record and proceed?
Yes. Thank you, Chair Klein and committee members. My name is Annie Harala. I serve as the St. Louis County Commissioner for this district and actually currently chair our board. In northern Minnesota, we have a huge housing crisis. Across the state, we're hearing of this often, but lack of housing across all income levels is really holding us stagnant in our economic development growth. We have manufacturers of airplanes solar panels and healthcare providers, many wanting to expand and grow in Duluth and St. Louis County, but we cannot attract the workforce that we need because we have no place for these folks to live. And senators, I hear these stories every day, and it's not getting better. I'm really encouraged by these two projects to come and want to see those move forward. I'm here today to speak in support of Senate File 542, which creates a test case for housing development by providing a limited construction sales tax exemption on housing materials for apartments, condominiums, and townhomes across all income levels. I'm incredibly grateful to Senator Hauschild for introducing this bill. It is something that really could make a change in my community. I actually graduated from this high school where this is going to be. I then served on the school board that sat on this property for 10 years. It was a campaign discussion had year after year after year, and when this sold, even I think it's like 13 years out now, it's sat, and there's a ton of rock on top of this hill. When you get to have a beautiful view and something isn't developed, there's likely a lot of our deep rock. So that's important for you to know that this, the investment in this, and for a developer to come in and make this investment is a huge, it's both a risk and an important investment that we make to make Duluth's newest neighborhood. So, and our state and counties continue to see ways that we are financially supporting these places. And we need to find unique ways to invest in them. And so we look for businesses to develop in our communities, but importantly, we need to do this in partnership to make sure we're meeting the needs of our neighborhoods. So this bill does allow the state, county, and city to share in giving that developer an extra incentive to build. Why do we need extra incentives? It's not always what we want to say, but why do we want to help them? Well, in Duluth, we have a unique challenge when it comes to building, as Senator Hauschild said. It's actually more expensive to build housing, almost 20 to 30% more expensive in Duluth than it is in other places. And so, especially other metropolitan areas, due to the greater cost of labor, materials, geological, and the topographical work that I talked about. In my district, we have developers waiting to build what will be the largest development ever, and this exemption would really help us do that. Again, I want to thank Senator Hauschild and all of you for hearing this today. There are letters of support from the City of Duluth, the Building and Construction Trades, and the Duluth Chamber of Commerce. Our partners are up north are really working together to see how we can have this come to fruition. So I also know that this is an experiment. And sometimes that's what we need to do with these areas, safely invest in ways that we can have this experiment. We might need to see some refinements, but maybe this is a way where we can help get past those little areas that just we keep thinking a little bit about, but actually putting all in and experimenting to make it better. So thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Jack Carlson, please introduce yourself and proceed.
Mr. Chair and members of the Senate Tax Committee, my name is Jack Carlson, and I am the president of the Duluth Building and Construction Trades Council. I'm here today to speak in support of Senate File 542. I know it is true across the state, we need more housing. It is particularly urgent that in St. Louis County and Duluth that we get this. We do not simply have enough housing, and it is stopping our community and our region from growing. Employers cannot recruit new talent to our areas because there are no places for them to live. I appreciate Senator Hauschild trying to find new ways to help developers make new numbers so that they have the opportunity to build in Duluth and St. Louis County. This exemption would aid a few key projects in the Duluth and St. Louis County areas, including the Incline Village project, which would be one of the largest housing projects ever in Duluth. I can speak firsthand as to the challenges that we have to build in Duluth. It's harder and more expensive to build in Duluth. The Duluth housing prices are driven by construction expenses that are usually 20 to 30% more expensive. They are higher than any part of the state, and that's due to the greater cost of materials in the region, as well as the geographical and topographical challenges developers often encounter on site. This exemption, limited to just 2 years, could help jumpstart housing construction in the Duluth and northern St. Louis County areas. I want to thank all for hearing this bill and for thinking outside the box and looking for more tools that can help with workers develop to build more projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Carlson. I'll go to questions from the committee. Senator Nelson.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have one brief question and then some comments, but I want to make sure that I'm looking at the right project. So are you talking about the Central High School? A beautiful, historic building. I know there's been a long time trying to preserve that. Absolutely marvelous building. But I do have a couple questions about that.
Can I just confirm, I just want to make sure that
Yes.
we're talking about the right thing. So Senator Nelson, there are actually, it's kind of confusing. There are two central high schools. There's a historic central high school in downtown Duluth, and then there's a newer yet old central high school on top of the hill, which is a more modern high school that was shut down.
Yes.
And that's the one that we're talking about. So, yeah, I understand the confusion because they're both called Central.
Senator Nelson.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. And Senator Hauschild, thank you for the clarification.
Yes.
Because I was believing it was the old Central High School on Lake and Second, which is a marvelous building,
Yes.
but for the life of me, I could not understand
Yeah.
how it could be affordable housing. There's nothing affordable, even with historic tax credits, about preserving these beautiful sites. So with that, I will just leave one other comment then. And that is, so it sounds like, although it's the newer old Central High School, it is a private development. And I just want the committee to remember that for years we've tried to look at not taxing one unit of government with sales tax for another unit of government. So particularly, I'm talking about public safety. We made, I think, more of a blanket law change a few years ago that public safety buildings would be exempt from sales tax on construction materials. And then, of course, in the past, we've looked at all the schools. We're going to hear about a number of them today that we have, we think perhaps should be exempt from construction sales tax. And we think about the county buildings and the city buildings and the jails, all these taxpayer-funded buildings that then again, we turn around and we tax the construction materials to build those. So it's, one unit of government taxing another, which most of us don't think is a good idea. We've tried to change that over the years, but it's a very expensive item to change. But the thing that does concern me about this is that it's a private entity. And while we have many taxpayer-funded construction projects that pay sales taxes, I'm somewhat concerned about expanding that to a local development. So just a comment for consideration. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm tardy. Is there further discussion on your bill? And has the A3 amendment been adopted? Any other questions? Seeing none, Senator Hauschild, do you have a final comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Senator Nelson. This is kind of a similar debate that we had last year, and I completely understand the perspective that you're bringing to the table. What I'm trying to do is really look at the fact that it seems as though housing is the biggest challenge that we face in this state and perhaps this country, or at least one of the top issues. And we continue to see, particularly in my region, a lack of these construction projects able to get off the ground because of the unique economics of the region. And so while I understand the caution around providing a construction sales tax exemption for a private development, I fear that without these types of tests, without these types of changes to the way we do things, we will continue to be stagnant in communities like mine where we can't get these housing projects off the ground. So I'm hopeful that the committee would be willing to try this out, see how it works in Duluth, and if it does spur the largest housing development in the city's history, perhaps it's the right direction we need to take.
Thank you very much, Senator Hauschild. And with that, Senate File 542 as amended will be laid over for consideration in the omnibus bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
The next bill on our agenda is Senate File 61, Senator Westlin. Welcome to the committee, Senator Westlin, yet once again. Pleased to have you here. And you're bringing us Senate File 661 on behalf of the city of Plymouth. So you may begin with another kind of short bill, but exactly what is, what kinds of materials or the material exemptions that you're asking for here. I am going to be with these, since the Department of Revenue depends on information from the local governments to make sure that you have reviewed the revenue estimate and that the information that the revenue estimate is based on is in accord with the city of Plymouth and the information they have provided. Senator Westlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, committee members. I'm happy to be here today. And thank you again, Senator Rest, for being co-author on our joint city that we share. And I am happy to provide a brief explanation of the bill, and then we do have information regarding the...
Senator Westlin, could you bring the mic a little bit closer?
Sure, sorry, and I'm still a little...
I understand. I'm sorry.
I have that deep voice going on these days. So with this bill, with Senate File 61, Madam Chair and members, Section 1, Subdivision 1, Part A, would exempt a list of public projects included in the city center revitalization project in the city of Plymouth from the state sales tax for materials and supplies for construction, reconstruction, upgrades, remodeling, and renovations. A list of those items is included in lines 1.13 through 1.19. And then it also includes in Part B, Subdivision 1, Part B, that there would also be included the water treatment plants and the meadows play fields, where that tax would also be refunded. The relevant dates, this is a bill that was presented last year, and actually the time frame has been shortened. Last year, the language included in line 1.12 that it would be extended to 2029, and this bill actually shortens that time period to 2028. And then, of course, the proposal then is that the taxes would be imposed and collected, but then would be refunded, and that's in lines 2.3 to 2.6. With regards to the sales and use tax, so this would actually be a cost savings, right? So looking at this for fiscal year 2026, there'd be a cost savings of $660,000, 2027, $110,000. Did I have that right? Fiscal year 2028, $330,000, and then for fiscal year 2029, $2.06 million. And this would be retroactive, Madam Chair, to December 31st of 2023. And again, I would just say, Madam Chair, I know that you are certainly our expert on tax policy surrounding this issue of taxes that are being paid from one level of government to the next, and appreciate that the local sales tax exemptions require this tax committee to have the funds to backfill that exemption. And then today, Madam, I almost called you Your Honor. Today, Madam Chair, I also do have Maria Solano here, who is the Deputy City Manager of the City of Plymouth, and she is here to provide some additional testimony.
Senator Westlin is aware that I have one precinct in Plymouth in my Senate district, of which I am very fond. We're going to begin if there are any questions of Senator Westlin before we turn to her testifiers. Seeing none, Ms. Solano, If you would identify yourself for the record, we welcome your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. Thank you for having me here today. I am Plymouth's Deputy City Manager, Maria Solano. I'd like to start by thanking Senator Westlin for authoring and supporting this bill. The City of Plymouth requests a sales tax exemption for construction materials needed to complete high-demand infrastructure improvements that will help revitalize Plymouth City Center and benefit other regionally significant projects. Plymouth's regional facilities draw thousands of visitors. A tax exemption will have far-reaching benefits, helping satisfy regional demand for amenities and mitigating the tax impact on Plymouth residents to fund regionally significant public infrastructure. Proposed projects that would benefit from this exemption include modernizing stormwater infrastructure in City Center that would allow for redevelopment flexibility, accommodating increased transit service to strengthen mobility, expanding our regional ice center, which is over capacity, completing a regional playfield, completing a roadway realignment, installing a permanent field house structure to meet regional demand at our community center, and implementing a water treatment project to boost efficiency and bolster conservation. Chair and committee members, Plymouth's infrastructure is used by thousands of visitors from outside of our city. This exemption would lower construction costs and reduce the property tax impact on Plymouth's residents for regionally beneficial, high-demand infrastructure improvements. We respectfully request your support for Senate File 61. I will stand for any questions. Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments for the Deputy City Manager? Seeing none, once again, Senator Westlin, we expect you to review and City Manager, the information you've provided as reflected now in the revenue estimate. If you find it to be any different, please contact the Department of Revenue. And with that, Senator Westlin, any final comment?
No, ma'am.
Great.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You bet. Senate File 61 is laid over for consideration in the omnibus tax bill. Next, we have a series of exemptions requests from Senator Weber. Last year, you would think, well, why couldn't we have these all in one bill? Well, last year we did, and it became unwieldy to deal with them in our spreadsheets and so forth. And so Senator Weber has introduced these bills then on behalf of his school districts separately. And appreciate your having done that, Senator Weber. And of course, it really ups the balance of Democratic and Republican bills, and I think you guys are ahead now. But and I would not encourage others to do the same to that. But we'll start with 48, is that correct?
Correct.
Senate File 48 on behalf of the Tyler Ruthton Independent School District, Russell Tyler Ruthton Independent School District, and I believe your testifier is going to be on Zoom.
Yes.
But go ahead, if you would, Senator Weber, and keeping in mind also that you will review, or the school district will review the revenue estimate to make sure that they're comfortable with the material, the information they gave to the Department of Revenue, and that the revenue estimate correctly identifies the cost of materials for which they are asking for the exemption up front in this bill. Senator Weber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of general comments before I begin. I have requested that the superintendents from these different school districts be available by Zoom today, but most of them have indicated that unless there's a specific question about their project, they don't feel it necessary to make additional comment. I told them they were welcome to do so if they wish to. And to my superintendents, if there is something that I have misstated or that you wish to say, please alert the chair to make that comment.
So Senator,
also,
Senator
I have.
Weber, so why don't we, when we get to those names, we'll just have them identify themselves so that they can be in the minutes.
Certainly.
As being present, but they don't have to give additional testimony.
Very good.
Okay? All
Thank you,
right.
Madam Chair.
Proceed.
And also, I've told, with the number of projects here, I told Ms. Pollack that if I misspeak, to feel free to correct me, so.
I'm sure she will. Thank you.
I told her I've been married for almost 46 years, so I'm used to that, so. Anyway, starting out with Senate File 48. This is for, as you mentioned, for the Russell-Tyler-Ruthton School District. Basically, this is for a refund of sales tax on materials for a project that went into the construction of a pre-kindergarten through grade 12 school complex and athletic field in Tyler. And basically, this bill is essentially the same as last year. There are no date changes, as I understand it, and the amount, however, of the applied for refund has changed, as you look at the revenue estimate, it is now at $1,100,000 for all funds, $1,040,000 coming out of the general fund.
Okay, any questions? And
the superintendent there is.
Mr. Marlette?
Mr. Marlette, yes.
Superintendent Marlette, are you there?
Yes, I am, Madam Chair.
Well, we welcome you to the committee. If you do have anything to say, now's the time, but it's not necessary.
Okay, well, I would just appreciate the opportunity that Senate Tax Committee is looking at this, and we appreciate Senator Weber and his staff in spearheading this bill, and we feel it is very, very necessary, and we thank you very much for looking at it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Are there questions or comments for either the superintendent or Senator Weber? Seeing none, Senate File 48 will be laid over for consideration in the omnibus tax bill. Senator Weber next brings us Senate File 152. There is an A1 amendment. Senator Weber moves the A1 amendment, and it should be in your packets. It's just changing, updating some dates. All those in favor of the A1 amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. Senator Weber, on behalf of the Adrian Independent School District.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project involves a roofing project as well as some playground remodeling, retaining wall construction, and general maintenance remodeling work with bathroom and locker rooms, window replacements, et cetera. And in this scenario, the estimate, as you see, is for fiscal year 27 and 28, $70,000 each year. And with as opposed to a negligible amount indicated by the revenue estimate last year. And I'm not quite sure why it was that way, but last year. But anyway, those are the main changes that occur in this bill.
Okay. We have Molly Schilling, the superintendent. Ms. Schilling, are you present?
Yes, I am, Madam Chair.
If
Thank
you
you
just
to the-
identify yourself for the record, if you'd like to speak briefly, that would be great.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Senate Tax Committee. As stated, my name is Molly Schilling. I'm the superintendent at Adrian Public School. I want to say thank you to Senator Weber for authoring this Senate File 152 on behalf of the Adrian School District for the sales tax and use exemption. As stated, and I won't go into the full testimony that I prepared today, but we have aging facilities and we do utilize our taxpayer dollars the best that we possibly can. But there's critical things that we need to address, such as our roof systems and window replacements, just to name a couple. I am not also sure what happened last year with our numbers, but I believe this year our numbers are correct. There's a lot of back and forth, and
Thank you.
I think somehow the numbers got misconstrued. But any dollar that we can have not going to sales tax can help us better assist with our dollars planned for student learning. So thank you for your consideration.
Certainly, thank you. Are there any questions or comments for Senator Weber or Ms. Schilling, Superintendent, on Senate File 52? Seeing none, Senate File 52, as amended, will be laid over.
152, Madam Chair.
Oh, I see, I marked in front of it. 152, as amended, will be laid over for possible inclusion in the Senate tax bill. The next bill is Senate File 153 on behalf of the Edgerton School District. Senator Weber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the Edgerton superintendent is not available today, it's just so I will
Which is fine.
answer any questions that I can. I will also mention, Madam Chair, that this is actually a new project. I have 25, 27 school districts completely or total, partially in my school district, with about 23 or 4 of them actually having facilities. And so we send out sort of a mass email saying, okay, would you like us to redraft the bills from last year, or do you have a new project? And so when they come in, they all come in together, and this was forwarded on, and here it is. So with that, Madam Chair, this particular project, of course, requests a refund of sales tax for materials in a project that they have going on, which includes 3- and 4-year-old preschool classrooms, new elementary music classroom, a new
Senator
band.
Weber, is that what 3s and 4s preschool classrooms means?
Ages 3 and 4, yes.
Yeah, I would think we would say something like 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds, but if that's how you talk about them, they're 3s and 4s. We'll leave the language alone.
And then there's some administrative office relocation with secure entrances, a new gymnasium and improved community access, new locker rooms, and to include a storm shelter. I think it's important for everyone to recognize, Madam Chair, that it's my understanding that Dolly is now requiring all gyms and/or locker rooms to be built for storm shelter purposes, which of course is adding to the costs for construction projects and ultimately adds to our cost as well as we seek to forgive sales tax. But it's a good point, I think, to be aware of.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Weber. I wasn't, but I think that's a good idea. I mean, it's for the safety of the kids and their teachers and the school personnel to have a safe place from the storms.
Madam Chair?
Just a moment, sir. Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and maybe that is the case, but the question remains, did the legislature give Dolly the authority to do that or not? Maybe Senator Weber knows that. We have known agencies to act on their own in this government, and certainly I think we want to, somebody should inquire to make sure that they have the authority to do that.
Thank
At
you.
some point. Thank you, Madam
Yeah,
Chair.
thank you, Senator Drazkowski. Senator Weber.
Madam Chair, Senator Drazkowski, I'm not aware of legislative authorization. It's my understanding that Dolly periodically makes rule changes that are not authorized by the legislature, but that they do so within their rulemaking framework.
Their general rulemaking authority. Any other questions? Was there someone who was
Yes.
going to testify?
I
don't
didn't
have
think
a
there was
name.
by her
Madam Chair?
voice.
Sir, if you would identify yourself for the record, please.
Yes, Keith Buckridge, Superintendent at Edgerton Public School. I was originally not able to make it, but I made things work so I could be here.
Okay, thank you very much.
I don't know if he has a
Senator
comment.
Weber?
I don't know if the superintendent has a comment or not.
Oh, did you have a comment, sir?
No comment. Like I said, it's a new project for us coming up, and we wanted to thank the tax committee for listening to our proposal put forth by Senator Weber. We certainly appreciate that you guys take the time to listen.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Senator Weber, it's not on the agenda, but I understand you do have an amendment to Senate File 153. Is that correct? Ms. Pollock?
Madam Chair, yes, there's just a short amendment to correct a date for the eligible purchases, and I could do that orally if members don't have that.
We don't have that, so why don't, Senator Weber will let her read the amendment, and then
Please.
we'll ask you to offer it. Ms. Pollock?
Madam Chair, members, the amendment would be on 1.13, delete 2026 and insert 2027. And then on 2.8, delete 2026 and insert 2027.
And Ms. Pollock, does that track to the revenue estimate?
Madam Chair, I would defer to Mr. Mum on this, but yes, the revenue estimate is drafted to
The
be
amendment.
amended, yes.
Amended version. So Senator Weber offers that amendment. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion prevails and the amendment is adopted, noting that it is in accord with the revenue estimate. So Senate File 153 as amended is laid over for possible consideration in the omnibus tax bill. The next bill is Senate File 154. Senator Weber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is for the Heron Lake-Okabena School District. Again, they are requesting a refund of sales tax for building materials in a number of projects as is outlined there, including roof work, concrete, tuck pointing, and actually also involves the reconstruction and remodeling of their buildings, being a consolidated district, and includes windows, flooring, bus garage doors, and bathroom fixtures and upgrades, as well as the pool filter replacement. And Madam Chair, this revenue estimate is fairly close to what it was last year. It was $50 million each fiscal years 24 and 25 last year. It is now $65 million fiscal year.
You mean 1,000?
I'm sorry, 1,000, yes.
No, not that expensive.
1,000 this year,
Yeah.
65,000 for fiscal year 26, so.
Okay. And there is not a testifier?
No, I don't
Okay.
believe there is a testifier unless someone has.
Are there questions or comments for Senator Weber on this bill? Seeing none, Senator Weber, Senate File 154 will be laid over for consideration in the omnibus tax bill. The next bill, right there in order, in fact, they're all in order, I guess. Senate File 155. Senator Weber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I have an amendment, the A1 amendment for this project as well.
Senator Weber offers the, get that separated here, offers the A1 amendment. Members have it in their packets. It also is changing dates and updating dates. Senator Weber offers the A1 amendment. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. Senator Weber, 155 is before us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is for the Windham School District. There has been an expansion of this particular project. As you know, my area of the state received heavy rains last summer. And in fact, many of my communities had over a 2-day period, 15 to 16 inches of rain. The Des Moines River goes through the city of Windham and actually borders the athletic field for the Windham School District. And the flooding that ensued from that heavy rainfall basically destroyed the field and that, quite frankly, if I recall correctly, in the 12-plus years that I've been in the Senate, I think that field has flooded at least 2, maybe 3 times and caused either considerable or total damage to the field. And they use the field for their baseball and football teams. So they have decided to bite the bullet and relocate that field to upland, as we say back home, next to their high school complex. And so what we see here is refund of sales tax on supplies for the construction of an outdoor athletic complex, a locker room remodeling, gymnastics, a wrestling space, and a performing arts center. And as a result, Madam Chair, the revenue estimate on this one is for both the general fund and the natural resources and arts funds for fiscal year 27 and 28 is $390,000.
Thank you. And we have Superintendent Frank with us on Zoom, is that correct?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair and members of the
Yeah,
Senate Tax.
Superintendent Frank, if you would identify yourself for the record, if you would like to give a few words of testimony, that'd be great.
Sure. My name is Jamie Frank, Superintendent of Windham Schools. Senator Weber explained our situation very well. Due to the flooding, our community and our district is ready to relocate those fields to higher ground right next to the high school. We did a facility study and identified other areas such as the Performing Arts Center that is also such a need for our district and for our students. So thank you for your consideration, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you, Superintendent. Are there questions or comments for Superintendent Frank or for Senator Weber regarding Senate File 155? Seeing none, Senate File 155 as amended will be laid over for consideration in the omnibus tax bill. Senator Weber next brings us Senate File 156 for the Round Lake Brewster Independent School District.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Weber, Senate File 156.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This, again, is a construction project of a new school building in the Round Lake Brewster Independent School District. And what we have here is, I'm just double checking my notes, Madam Chair. And this is the same as last year as far as the project itself is concerned. And the Three-year estimate last year was $810 million. The two-year fund impact, fiscal years 26 and 27 this year is 810,000, excuse me, is 860,000.
Did we adopt the amendment? For 155, yes. That's okay, thank you. Are there questions for Senator Weber? If not, we have I'm getting one behind here. We're on 156, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. We have Superintendent Hassing with us. Superintendent Hassing, would you like to say a few words?
Yes,
If you'd
ma'am.
identify
That's-
yourself for the record.
My name is Ray Hassing. I'm the superintendent at Round Lake Brewster School District 2907.
Would you like to make any comments, sir?
I just want to thank you for considering this bill. It was brought to you before you last year. Our original bond was $30,480,000. Since the cost of inflation, since we've done the project, it's estimated to be closer to $31,500,000. The estimate before you is $26 million for cost, and then cost of materials about $12.5 million. If Senator Weber shared you that about taxes would be about $860,000 that would be shared on the construction materials cost. We just really hope that you will consider this and help all of our districts that are requesting this today. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Are there questions or comments for the superintendent or for Senator Weber with regard to Senate File 156? Seeing none, Senate File 156 will be laid over for consideration in the omnibus tax bill. The next bill is Senate File 157. Senator Weber. It's for Round Lake Brewster.
We just did Round Lake
or-
Brewster.
No,
Madam
I'm
Chair.
sorry, I keep going backwards here. Hills Beaver Creek School District.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Lots of consolidations out there in your
Yes.
in your
Find the
area.
right file. Yes, on the Hills Beaver Creek project, this is for the most part, the same as last year. It concerns the construction of a new elementary school parking lot, as well as repairs to the gymnasium, locker rooms, a vehicle garage, and bus garage building. And the estimate for fiscal year '26 is $790,000. Which is actually down from a two-year estimate totaling $840,000 last year.
Okay, and we have Mr. Holthouse, Superintendent for Hills Beaver Creek. Are you with us, sir?
Madam Chair, Todd Holthouse, Superintendent with the Hills Beaver Creek School District. I'm here.
Welcome to the committee. If you have any comments to make, we would be pleased to hear them.
First, I want to thank Madam Chair and also Senator Weber for authoring the bill. We testified last year, and I believe that all that testimony is still true today. One thing unique about our project is our estimates came in 25% higher than what was projected by our construction manager and the architectural firm. There was a little window in the fall of 2023 that caused, I don't know what was going on that day or what, but it just really impacted our project in a big way in our small school district. But we've gathered things together, made reductions, and we're able to go after some abatement bonds as well, that we're still in process of doing that. But once again, thank you for considering this. Appreciate the time that you have, and looking forward to the results.
Thank you, Superintendent. Are there questions or comments for the superintendent or for Senator Weber concerning Senate File 157? Seeing none, Senate File 157 will be laid over for consideration in the omnibus tax bill. The next bill is Senate File 159, and we have noted the A1 amendment, but there is a correction, and what we instead will be taking up on Senator Weber's behalf is the A2 amendment, well, which needs to be distributed to the members. It also, however, is a correction in an updating in dates. I don't know if we need any comment on it. Ms. Pollock?
Madam Chair, members, yes, you're correct. It's an updating in dates. It's slightly different on this one because we needed to update the dates to notwithstand the 3.5-year statute of limitations for the eligible purchases. And so that's what the language on line 1.3 and 1.4 of the A2 does.
Okay, and so this bill is now in order as we adopt this amendment. All those in favor of the A2 amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The amendment is adopted. We now have Senate File 159 as amended by the A2 before us. Senator Weber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would also note that the amendment made a deletion of one of the projects within the bill, which is the ice arena. And the community at large is now considering a possible joint project to provide a new ice arena. And so the school has taken it out of their project and you know, looking to participate on a larger scale with the community. With that, Madam Chair, this particular project deals with the construction of a new grades 3 through 5 intermediate school building, a new community education building which serves early childhood, adult basic education, and the Nobles County Integration Collaborative Programs, a new construction of a new storage facility to serve the intermediate school and the Learning Center, the gymnastics facility, and the community education building, reconstruction and replacement of parking lots at the middle school, construction of an addition to the Worthington High School and remodeling of existing space, and installation of a turf football field at the Worthington Middle School, demolition of a former elementary school building, reconstruction of Trojan Field and associated facilities, as well as improvements in general to the Worthington Learning Center. And Madam Chair, the revenue estimate on this is over, you're given a 4-year period of time there with $710,000 per year.
Okay, any questions? And do we have Mr. Landgard, the superintendent, with us?
Good morning, Madam Chair. This is John
Yeah,
Landgard.
welcome to the committee, sir. If you would identify yourself for the record, we welcome your comments.
John Landgard, Superintendent of the Worthington School District, and I appreciate Madam Chair and the committee members for consideration of this bill, and thank Mr. Weber, or Senator Weber, for moving this forward. I just want to give you a little background that since 2010, our district goals have been to upgrade and address facility needs. And we've completed about $130 million worth of work in that time frame. And example of one of the things that you spoke about earlier of the storm shelter, our intermediate school bond planning and approval by taxpayers went on. But with the change in the law on the storm shelter, we didn't start construction till after January 1, which those rules went into place, and we increased our cost $1 million on that facility alone. So we've had a great deal of progress in meeting district goals for facilities And we just truly appreciate this consideration because it does help maintain dollars for also our academic areas by your support. So thank you, Madam Chair and the committee for considering, and Mr. Weber's commitment to schools in Southwest Minnesota.
Thank you, Superintendent. Are there any comments or questions of Superintendent Landgard or Senator Weber regarding Senate File 159? Seeing none, Senate File 159, as amended by the A2, will be laid over for consideration in the omnibus tax bill. The last bill on our agenda today is Senate File 160 on behalf of Martin County West Independent School District. Senator Weber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This would be the most recent construction bond project in my area. And this refund would be for the construction of a new pre-kindergarten through grade 12 school building and the associated costs therewith. And we have, excuse me, we do also have an amendment.
Is that what other school districts call the 3s and 4s?
Pardon?
I say, is that what that other school district called the 3s and 4s? Yes?
Possibly. And I forgot, we do have the A1 amendment, Madam Chair, and this is for a date change as well.
Yes. Senator Weber offers the A1 amendment to Senate File 160. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The amendment is adopted. Senator Weber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And there again, with the construction costs, basically the revenue estimate is for the fiscal years 26 and 27 is approximately $710 million each year, or 710,000. I can't get off of the million this morning.
And the cost of the materials is estimated at 20.7
Correct.
million to get to that number. And we have Superintendent Reynolds with us from the school district.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I'm Corey
If you would,
Reynolds,
if you would identify yourself, please, for the record. Superintendent, we're pleased to have your testimony.
I'm Corey Reynolds, Superintendent, Martin County West Schools. Thank you for your time this morning. Just want to do a little thought experiment, if you will, with these funds able to be redirected back into the project rather than expended on sales tax. We could do things like purchase another playground structure to be used not only by our students during the school day, but by the whole community at all throughout the day and weeks. We could have additional equipment for our career and technical education labs where students are preparing for the trades that our communities all need. We could have more technology in our classrooms and more durable materials to increase the longevity of this commitment that our taxpayers have made to the school. So these are the type of enhancements that could be done if these construction materials, like most of the other purchases the school districts make, were tax exempt. So thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions about our project or this issue.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. Are there questions or comments for the superintendent or for Senator Weber? Seeing none, Senate File 160, as amended by the A1, will be laid over for consideration in the omnibus tax bill. In terms of announcements, pitchers and catchers are reporting today, for those of us who follow baseball. That's number one. And then on Tuesday, the committee will begin at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. And I think what we are taking up starting next week is some more sales tax exemptions. There are a variety of them. And then also two TIF bills. One is mine and the other one, directly mine, and the other one is coming from suggestions from the state auditor. We will be having hearings on other TIF proposals, but we're going to take those two general ones up first. There may be other general ones, we'll come back to them. And then also the ones from members who are asking for special consideration for a TIF project in their district. Are there any questions for the members about proceeding now? Beginning of next week? Just let you know what we're looking at for Wednesday, and, these things get changed around because of any number of things, but we're looking at more of the proposals that are left over from the omnibus bill from last year. And then hopefully we'll be done with them to have them in front of us. Including Senator Weber, your bill on railroads. And I think these will be familiar. Senator Putnam has one on SWCD increase. It's very similar to Senator Hauschild's, dealing with the same topic, but it is at a different amount. Senator Gustafson's coerced debt bill. Senator Umu Verbaten's proposal dealing with the cannabis stamp, if you recall that, and then the IRS Section 503, and then we'll have before us the modernization of the political contribution refund program that also was heard last year. And then on Thursday, there'll be more sales tax exemptions, including Woodbury, Becker, Big Lake, Becker again, the school district, Fairmont, Chanhassen, Redwood, Benton, Delano, Rochester, and Olmsted County. So that's the plan for next week. Any questions? Then there being no further business, the committee is adjourned. Thank you. Thanks, Matt.